Well, I think that was interesting. Do you think she believes me? No? Nobody thinks she believes me? You think she does? You think she will eventually?
Yes. That doctor explained it so well. If the hospital had done that, she would have saved 2 years of her life.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and you know, Dr. Kahn really took time, as we talked about it and went through all of these records, and I've spent most of my professional career in the litigation arena as in trial sciences, which is planning trials and strategy of trial and that sort of thing. There's a TV show about it now called Bull. It's based on my life before the Dr. Phil show.
Oh, wow.
And Michael Weatherly plays the character that's based on my life before. And don't you think we look alike? Yeah. Well, we put glasses on him so you can tell us apart. But I always broke things down where a jury could understand them. And I relied a lot on what I called the but-for test. And that was, but for this happening, this couldn't have happened. And but for this happening, this couldn't have happened. Because if you're trying to figure out what caused something to happen, whether it was a building to collapse or a plane crash or whatever, there's always a first link in the chain. And it's like I did every airline crash from 1981 until I started the Dr. Phil show. Every airline crash in the world. And you always had to find out why. And I always worked backwards to that first link. Somebody had to do something wrong. There aren't any accidents. Somebody had to fail to tighten a screw. Somebody had to not get a right weather briefing. Somebody had to not do some safety procedure. Somebody, somewhere, somehow. And I always said, but for this happening, this couldn't have happened, and this couldn't have happened, and this couldn't have happened. And in this case, it didn't make any difference. They were saying, well, they were rude. Okay, so they were rude. I'm sorry. That didn't kill him. What killed him was he had a heart attack, he had pulmonary failure, and if that hadn't killed him, he had an aneurysm the size of a grapefruit, and his stomach would have gotten him soon. So there was no but for here. There was not anything that the hospital did, and that's what I was trying to get her. And it wasn't the fentanyl that shut down his breathing. They didn't give him the fentanyl that caused the death. The death process caused them to give him the fentanyl. That's why he got that, because they were making him comfortable when it was apparent that he was in the final stages, which often happens. That's why it was given to him. It didn't cause the death. The death caused him to get the fentanyl. And that's hard to hear sometimes. But, well, maybe you're right. Maybe she'll eventually hear me. I don't know. Yeah, and you know, grief is not a mental illness. Grief is not depression. You cry and you hurt and you get angry and you withdraw, but that's not depression. That's grief. It's a different thing, and we'll help her with that, and him too.